Today is September 28th, 2013. I have Kat here. She is 100 years old and she is going to answer a few questions. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank
Awesome.
you.
What is your
I
full
won't be
name?
100 until October the 6th.
101 on October 6th.
Right,
Yes. What is your full name and why do you think you were named it?
My name is Ann, A-N-N, Catherine, Kathryn, Sullivan, Sullivan. I was named for an aunt, Ann, Catherine, and then another, it was Catherine.
Your father's sister.
That's right.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Awesome. What was your nickname as you were growing up?
Cat, K-A-T,
It's just
all my life.
Everybody called you Kat.
That's
pretty much.
all.
Okay. Do you remember hearing your grandparents describing their lives, or who was the oldest person you remember?
My oldest would be my mother's father, Owen Higgins.
Okay.
And he came to visit us occasionally, but that's the only, I didn't know either of my Sullivan grandparents, and then I didn't know my grandmother on my mother's side, Catherine Higgins.
Okay.
But I remember him very well. He was a very strict, straight up and down old Irish man.
Right.
And when I knew him, he was living then at the Old Soldiers' Home in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And he would come to visit us, at least, as I remember, every spring or summer sometime.
Okay. He died in 1922, correct?
Let's see, I didn't remember that date.
Okay. I think Owen Higgins died in
that date.
1922.
So how old did that make him then?
I don't remember when he was born, actually.
You don't have
but
that
it
date?
he would have been about 70 or 80, I think. Yeah.
He'd been every bit of that,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I'll look up that. I'll look up that later and let you know
Uh-huh.
a bit. Yeah. What was your favorite subject in school and why?
I think math had always a bit of subject that I enjoyed.
Okay.
But at that time, you didn't go very far in math. I think I took a year of first year algebra. That was about as high as they were teaching at 31 or 32 when I graduated. When did I graduate?
At 1931.
Well, 31,
Yeah.
that's what I thought.
And that was 12 years of school.
I had 12 years of school.
Okay. Which schools did you attend? Describe them a
I
little.
went to John Kerr as the, just as the first grade, by fourth grade. And then when Hanley opened, I was in the first class that went in, the first low class that went in. I think I was at the fourth grade. And it was right off that little area courtyard that might not even be the same as it was then.
Through the renovations, it's been through a lot.
Right there.
Did you have to walk through the wooden hallway to get there?
I walked through the hallway, went
Yeah.
up the steps outside, and went in we went on the far left side.
Right.
And that was the first fourth grade room there. And it was closest down to the gym.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Awesome.
Can't think of my teacher's name,
Oh.
but I could see her as plain as day. She was a young, pretty girl.
Okay, cool. Did you ever date anyone, and how old were you when you started dating?
I never did date anybody seriously. One night, in a group of a lot of people, but I never did date anybody.
Okay.
Seriously at all.
Sure, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Never did.
Who were your best friends growing up, and did you have a special hangout area with them? Or
Well, I had a friend. I had a Nancy Cantor was one of them, and Eva Crispin was another one, and Dottie Woods. There was a man here that was an artist and drew for the Star, and his daughter was one of my good friends.
Okay.
And Dottie Woods.
How about that?
If you look at the Star sometime, way back, if you go back to the archives, you'd see that he did a lot of the drawings for the Winchester Star.
Okay.
Her dad did.
How about that?
Uh-huh.
Did you hang out anywhere specifically with them, or meet anywhere? Or?
No, that wasn't the thing that you did then,
Okay.
you know. It was a very home-oriented time.
Yeah.
You know, we'd, we wouldn't think about going down to People's, or we would, towards the end of my senior year, might go down to People's after school and have a Coke or something like that. But that's when they had a place to eat in Old People's, if you can imagine
Oh,
that.
wow. Okay.
And you don't remember that.
I do not know.
You don't remember, that, you know what building that is now? It's on the corner of the mall and Mama Street.
Okay.
Water Street.
What Water Street? That would be. It's now a Mexican place.
Is that where it is
Yeah,
now?
uh-huh.
Then what's across the street from that now, where old Penny's used to? That was Penny's big store, right across the street from there, across the mall.
I don't know that one.
I don't know who's in there.
Yeah.
And then on the corner, across from that catty corner, was another old-time drugstore.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Have you
wow.
ever been in there? I think they have the original flooring in there, and it's all old-time tile.
Okay. Oh wow, I'm gonna have to go check that
Go
out.
in there and just see what it's like. I guess it's still there.
Okay.
I've been there for years.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Describe your earliest memories of what Apple Blossom used to be like.
Well, it isn't anything like it is now.
I'm sure.
It was very, very, laid back. I mean, it was just starting. In fact, I think most people in town thought it was sort of a silly thing to start.
Okay.
But that band that started was bound and determined, and he really worked at getting a lot of things done. But that's when the school got very interested in it, you know.
Sure.
And I guess you've heard about the wonderful shows that we put on at Hanley then. Did you ever?
You would be on the steps of Hanley,
Yeah,
right?
the steps and all.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we had Gone Quarl. Now you've heard of him. He was
Yeah.
superintendent of schools.
He required you to do it, right? He required you all to do that.
Well, he wrote the script of it,
Okay.
the whole thing.
Oh, wow.
And it was very, it had a lot of a local history and all. He wrote the history of Winchester, and then they had you'd have you'd have them going across there. Well, how can I describe it? Right at the foot of all the steps there, not the big, right as you came down from the school, you'd come down those steps, and then all the play would be on, and we'd do a regular historical review of Winchester.
Wow.
I mean, it was really very, very good.
Okay.
Wow. Really very good.
That's awesome. How would you describe yourself politically? How would you describe yourself politically?
Absolutely independent.
Independent, okay.
Absolutely. I'm going to vote for the person that I think is the best and will do more good for the country.
Who's in your best interest, right?
In my view.
Absolutely, yes.
Uh-huh.
What U.S. president have you admired the most, and why?
Let's see, Christopher, who was the one that was a cripple?
That was Teddy Roosevelt,
Huh?
or one of the Roosevelts. Was it?
Roosevelt.
Yeah.
I guess he was the one, although he was very, I was very young at that time. I guess I don't know whether I could have even voted for him or not.
Okay.
But of all, I thought he probably did more to get our country sort of
Out of the Great Depression.
right out of the depression.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Because it was a bad time.
I'm sure. Well, I mean, let's go right into that one then. What was it like to live during the Great Depression?
Well, it's just that you learned to do without a lot of things, and you didn't think anything about it because there was no money. Nobody had any money.
Yeah.
And I know what a struggle it was for us. I often wonder how in the world Mom and Dad ever was able to feed us and take care of us, you know, the big family that we had. And we were lucky enough to all to get a high school education, which I thought not any of us got to college. But Lib got off and got her nurse's degree, and then the rest of Bea and Mary got married. And but see, it was Bill. See, didn't even get any college. He didn't have any college education.
That was your youngest brother, yeah.
Yeah, he was the only brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you, I guess you were in 11th grade at that time. You were 17, 18 years old when that was happening, and
how old would I have been? 1912. That would have been at least 20 or 21, I guess it was.
okay, right, sure.
20 or 21.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. How about describe how technology has changed in your lifetime, or which piece of technology has changed you the most personally?
It's changed so much that I just don't know what I would pick to be the most. I guess maybe the availability of electricity
Okay.
that we had then. Because see, back then, our house, we did everything by kerosene lamps, and it was late before we even had electricity.
How old do you think you were when you first had like electricity in your house, or?
I guess it must have been at least 11 or 12 years old.
Okay, so the early 20s. Okay.
Early 20s,
Wow. Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
In some of these more recent years, within the last 20 years, how would you describe technology like now versus like in the 30s and 40s, or how you've seen it change?
It's been so phenomenal, and I wouldn't know what the word would be to use it.
Okay.
That the difference has been, it's been so all at once. It's just graduated so fast. So many things that I just never in the world thought would be available that are now with all the other things that we have to go to do it for us,
Sure.
It's wonderful. But the cars, dear would anybody, the first car that was in Winchester was really, just it was something everybody went down the street to see.
Yeah, that was.
It was such because our dad had a livery stable. We had horses, and he had carriages that he rented out to the rich people here.
Okay.
To take them around, because a car was it was just almost unheard of.
Yeah,
yet.
definitely.
And I can't think who would have been owned the first car in Winchester. I think it would have been some of the bakers.
Oh, wow.
The bakers that had the chocolate, started the chocolate company, I think they probably would have been the ones that would have had the first ones of that. Well, it was really something for us to see.
Yeah, definitely.
I go back down Main Street.
Oh yeah, wasn't your sister one of the first people to have a color TV in Winchester? What, didn't Bea have the first color TV?
I think it was probably Mary and Ike.
Mary had the first
Mary and
color
Ike.
TV. Oh, okay. All right.
Because that was, I know, my mother. She just couldn't get over it, and they would come and get us, Mom and I, and take us up there Sunday night to see some of the. Oh, I forgot what the old time show was. It was good. It was a musical show. And Mother just loved that thing. And we'd go up there every Sunday night just to see that one show.
Okay.
Until finally we got one of our own.
Sure, yeah. Or even like this giant TV you have right here, or this little phone that I'm using to record you with. I mean, you never thought it'd be possible.
I just couldn't imagine it. I just couldn't imagine it.
Yeah.
And by finding the screens, I never thought I'd have a screen like that, but that was Lib's because of her eyes,
Right, sure, yeah, definitely.
They had to get that for her.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
In your experience, how has the life of a woman changed in the past 100 years?
Well, you just can't believe it.
Yeah.
You just simply can't believe it. Because a woman then just stayed home and had her children and raised them and took care of the house.
That's what your mother did.
That's all. And then, but to go out and get an education and then go out and have a job, it was unheard of.
Okay.
It really was just unheard of.
So did you feel that you were doing something out of the ordinary when you were getting an education?
Well, I was in about the second stage of it. I
Okay.
wasn't in really the original stage of it, but I was in about the second stage of it because I never did mind being. I never felt like I was. What am I trying to say? That I was held down in any way because I was a woman.
Right.
I
Okay.
always felt a freedom.
Okay.
So I wasn't that. I was pretty lucky all my life. And see, I think of all of us in our family, we were just at that stage when things were really changing
It was
for women.
changing. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
And now,
Yeah.
like, women have children and work at the same
At
time.
the same time.
Yeah.
Most of them do.
Yeah.
It was just remarkable. I think these modern women are very, very remarkable, and they're all smart. Well, the other thing is, they've almost all of them go now and have an education.
Right.
And that's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Definitely.
Education is available to anybody now.
Yeah.
And that's, if you take advantage of it, you can really do well, I think. But you've got to work at it, that's for sure.
Right. Definitely. Absolutely. Is there a person that at one time dramatically changed the course of your life? At one person you can think of.
I don't know, that's pretty hard. I don't know who I really looked up to. That's a hard question. I was coming at the stage where I admired any woman that got out and had a family and got out and raised her family and then went off and got herself an education and a good job.
Definitely.
That was really to be, I thought, and it was hard work. I mean, it was hard to do in those days.
Right.
There's you really had to put a lot of time and effort into it to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But because it was, you can't believe it, but you were really looked down on if you a woman tried to push herself very much.
Really? Wow.
I really have all kinds of respect for those early women that persevered and pushed ahead and did it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. What was your first job, and how old were you when you started working there?
Well, my first job, I guess, would have been worked at the 5 and 10 cent store.
Okay.
Worked there after school, and then almost at Christmas time, because I could remember. And then after that, well, that was a nice shop then, a women's shop, Emirates. There was a good store here then, and I worked there after school always, and in the women's clothing department.
Okay.
And so I guess that was my first really big job. And
Gotcha.
I forgot when I was big, about $5 a week. Or
Oh
something
boy.
like that.
Like when you were a teenager, I
A
guess.
teenager, when
Okay.
I was still in school.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
What major illnesses or health problems do you or your family do you remember having? Or
Well, I had, as I told you, I had diphtheria.
oh wow.
I told you that, and we were quarantined. You know, when I was diagnosed, they just closed us in, and nobody could come and go because that was so contagious at that time. They didn't have any antibiotics or anything for it, and it was a very serious disease to get. Luckily, I was the only one that had it in the family.
Okay.
And then, of course, we naturally had all the other children's disease, whooping cough, and measles and whatever.
Oh wow.
But those are pretty general. Most everybody had that. But I know that we were an unusual case. I think there were about 2 or 3 other cases in town of diphtheria. And that was a very serious thing to have then.
Wow.
Because it was a serious illness and they didn't have any antibiotics or anything to cure it then.
Right.
And that's why we were quarantined, because nobody was allowed to come and go in the house.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I've heard that like you've never been like admitted into a hospital, never had any surgery or anything.
Never.
Isn't
that amazing?
That's amazing.
I was in to have my tonsils saved.
Your tonsils, okay.
Uh-huh,
Gotcha.
uh-huh,
Okay, that's pretty awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
What is the scariest thing that has ever happened to you personally?
Most serious?
A scary thing.
Scary.
Something that frightened you, or
scary
something
thing.
scary thing.
I don't know. See, I've lived a very, very limited life, Christopher. I really have. I guess maybe, to think of it, I was about 12 years old, I guess, when Dad's place was burned down. I think I was about 12 years old.
Okay.
And that was, at that time, that was a frightening thing for our family, because that was what we lived on, you know.
Everything you had.
And everything was gone.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That was on Kent Street, the Kent Street house burned down?
No, it was we were at National Avenue.
Okay.
But at his place was right behind his stables for the horses. It was right behind the Sarrazin Fire Company. Do you know where that is on Loudon Street?
I could probably find it on a map, yeah.
You know where it is?
Yeah.
Well, it's a big old, lovely fire company. Sarrazin, you've never heard of that
I
one?
have not heard of that before.
Haven't you?
No.
Mm-hmm. I guess it's still called that, Sarrazin, but that's what it was back in those days.
Gotcha, okay.
Uh-huh.
So he lost everything related to his work and everything.
Yeah, everything. There was nothing they could do. Well, it was a bit of a dry time, as I remember, and the water was very scarce, and they just couldn't get enough water to it to put it out.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
How about that?
If you go back to the Star and look it up, it'll all would be in the archives there.
Okay.
And what year would that be, did I tell you?
I didn't get a date on that.
I don't have a date.
Were you a teenager or 20s or?
I think I was about, as I remember, 12 or 13, 14 years old.
Okay, so
a young teenager.
Yeah, 1922 or 23,
something
somewhere
around. I think about that time.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Do you have any bad habits now, or did you have any bad habits, or what can you think of?
What would you call bad habits?
Like cracking your knuckles, or I don't know, biting your nails.
No. I don't know. Do you remember?
I don't think so.
No. I don't know what they'd be.
Very proper person. Yes.
Not really proper, but it just turned out that way.
Okay, cool. That's not a problem. Do you have a favorite story about a pet?
About what?
A pet, an animal.
Pet.
Yeah.
Old Charlie was, I think his name was, he was I don't know what kind of a dog he was, but he was but Dad's dog.
Okay.
And he just followed Dad around. I think his name, what did I say his name was?
Charlie.
Charlie?
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. And I can see him down. He had the prettiest old ugly face.
Okay.
But he was beautiful. And it was, it had some hair on him, you know. He had a pretty combination of light hair with sprinkles in it. But he was the most gentle dog. And he just followed my Dad around. I can see them walking up the alley from work now at night. Dad would be so tired, and this old dog would be just behind him, just looking about as tired as Dad was.
Wow.
It was the cutest thing.
A very small dog, or kind of a bigger dog?
Oh, it was a what would you call it then?
Some kind of a collie, maybe?
A young, another thing from collie. It really wasn't a collie, but it had that fur type thing.
Like a shepherd kind of dog? Okay. Awesome. I had never heard of Charlie before. That's cool. Have you ever met any famous people and what happened? Or do you ever meet anyone famous or?
No, see, I've really never been much out of town.
Okay.
So and as for out getting in a crowd to go meet a famous person, that was just never my cup of tea. I don't think I'd ever want to be bothered doing that.
Gotcha. But you said you have traveled before. What would be your favorite place that you have visited in the world?
In the world?
Yeah.
Well, when Peg and I used to go on our trips to Europe.
To Europe, okay.
Uh-huh.
You visited Germany.
And then I had a good friend, and we would go a day after Thanksgiving up to New York every year.
Okay.
That was our vacation time. And we'd get tickets to all the good shows up there then.
Oh.
We saw some wonderful original musicals, just with the old Mary Martin and all the old timers in them, you know. Really, really, really good ones.
Yeah.
We'd go up early and get tickets if we could. And I never will forget, I paid, because I don't think Fran went with me to this, but I was bound determined. Sound of Music was there, you know,
right.
one day when it was first opened, and I was bound determined. And so, and she said she really didn't care about paying a big price for it. And I couldn't even get a ticket. But anyway, I could get a standing room only for $10.
Oh, wow.
And that's what I did. Stood in the back there at the high wall there, you know.
Yeah.
At the very back of the theater. And you buy a place there and you get that for $10 to see Sound of Music, because
Wow.
that's what I want to see in the original.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's what I want to see, the original.
Awesome. Okay. That's amazing.
You never thought I'd be that young and foolish, did
I
you?
had not heard that story either. That is great. Is there anything that you have always wanted to do but haven't gotten a chance to do it?
Well, I guess what I really would like to have done was to travel more.
Okay.
I just love to do that. I love to do it.
Maybe see Australia or.
And I'd like to, you know, really do a good traveling journey through our country, because
Okay.
I'd love to. I've just been up to a little bit of the north of New England, but I would love to have gotten all the way over. See, I never did get to the West Coast,
Okay. Oh wow.
and I would like to see it all over there too, and in between too, because I just think it must be a beautiful country, and I'd like to have seen it all.
There's not very much that I have seen either, so I'm with you on that one.
That's I just wish I could have traveled more,
Yeah.
and that's the one thing I would like to have done.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
How about your favorite game to play or to watch?
Oh, I'd have to say football.
Football, okay.
For the word go. For the time we never had very good football around here. Well, at one time, the Washington team was pretty good. We had a pretty good Washington team, you know, for
The Redskins.
Redskins.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
They won the Super Bowl back in the 80s, right?
Well, I guess way back then, it's when they had really good teams.
Okay.
And loved those. But I don't look at much anymore. I don't know any of the college standings anymore.
Well, you still watch Notre Dame, right? Or you like to watch Notre
Sometimes
Dame?
when I have that on, but I really don't work at looking when they're going to play. If I just happen to put them, it's all right. But I really don't. I'm not enthused about it that much anymore.
Okay.
Because the game, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like the old time game that I remember. Believe it or not, football just seems different to me.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
It's
I guess it's because I think there's so much money involved in it now, and sort of detracts from the whole thing for me.
a lot of people would agree.
See, when I remember, some people were doing it mostly for zero,
Yeah.
I guess, and but most of these kids now in college, they're getting paid big money for it, and I don't take anything away from that. But it's just different.
Yeah.
It's just different. You feel like they're being paid to play, which they are. But it's just a different feeling I have towards it now.
Right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what is the best advice you could give someone to enjoy living to be 100 years old like yourself?
I would say the most important thing is to be blessed with good health.
Absolutely.
And then after that, just to be happy with whatever the good Lord gives you.
Definitely.
Not to be, I see so many people that are so unhappy that, I don't think anything would suit them, but you've got to learn to adjust to life. And I've really enjoyed my life, as unexciting as it's been. I really have enjoyed it.
Well, it sounds like you've done a lot, but it sounds like you've been through a lot and had a lot to be blessed about.
Well,
Yeah.
I feel like I really have enjoyed it all. I really have. And I've been blessed with good health, which is absolutely the best thing that can happen to you, because so many young people that I see now, I just have, everybody's on so much medication.
Yeah.
Oh, and I just,
You don't take any pills, do you, at all?
just to have a heart pill and a blood pressure pill, that's it, and the aspirin.
That's amazing. Wow.
Just is wonderful.
Awesome. Well,
It really is.
thank you very much. I have just a few biological standard questions. Once again, your name is?
My name is Ann Catherine Sullivan.
And you were born?
October the 6th, 1912.
Okay, and your relationship to me?
I'm your great aunt.
Great aunt, okay. And you were born here in Winchester?
Right here in Winchester.
Okay. And what is your present address?
My present
Yeah.
is, gosh, honey, I don't know how I have to tell you.
I guess we
I
call
write it
this,
so seldom.
this is called Spring Arbor.
Spring Arbor,
Yeah,
Winchester.
yeah.
And then it's, I think it's
Yeah, it's,
day in the morning.
yeah, we'll call it 2093 Northwestern Pike, apartment 131.
That's right,
Yeah.
if you don't mind.
There we go.
That gives it to you, because
You said education, 12 years, you finished high school. How about work experience? Can you name all the places that you worked over the years?
let's see, I first worked, just when I was in school at the 5 and 10 cent store, after hours and on weekend, on Saturday nights, Saturday nights. Then I went from there to, what was my first job? Well, I went with an apple broker here. You know what they were then? Well, the people that went around to the orchards here and bought apples and packed them and sold them. And that was Richard was the one I went to work for, and I worked for him and our little office was right across the George Washington Hotel, where the restaurant is there now.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. And then after that, I left there and went to National Fruit.
Okay.
And that's where I retired.
How many years can you remember were you there, or?
At National Fruit? 30-some years.
30?
I think
Wow.
31 or 32 years, I think.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Long time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I'm going to get one last shot with you. This is my 100-year-old, almost 101-year-old great aunt, Kat. Thank you very much.
I'm telling you, you're a glutton for punishment. That's all I got to say.
I know.